When the guns of the revolution fell silent, the world turned its eyes to George Washington. He had led a nation of farmers and dreamers to victory over the strongest empire on earth. He could have been king. The people would have crowned him gladly, but the man who had fought for liberty could not betray it. In December of 1783, he entered the Hall of Congress in Annapolis. The room fell silent as he stepped forward. With measured words and calm resolve, he resigned his commission as Commander-in-Chief. There was no cheering and no triumph, only dignity. With that act, he gave back the power he could have kept. The world had never seen anything like it. The soldier who conquered an empire returned home as a citizen. At Mount Vernon, he hoped to find peace. He rose early each day, walking his fields as the sun broke over the Potomac. He studied his crops, wrote letters, and greeted guests with quiet warmth. For the first time in decades, he was simply a farmer again. Yet as he watched the young nation struggle, he began to worry. The government under the Articles of Confederation was weak. The states quarreled, debts piled high, and foreign powers circled like hawks. The victory of independence seemed to be slipping away. Washington read letters from former officers, politicians, and citizens, all pleading for guidance. He had not sought power, but duty called him once more. In 1787, he traveled to Philadelphia to preside over the Constitutional Convention. His presence alone brought order. The delegates trusted him. They may have disagreed on everything else, but they agreed on him. Through the long, hot summer, he listened, mediated, and guided them toward compromise. Out of their conflict, the Constitution was born. A fragile document built on faith in the people and in the idea that virtue must guide power. 2 years later, the people turned to Washington again. He was elected unanimously as the first president of the United States. When he took the oath of office in New York City, his voice trembled slightly as he spoke. There was no crown, no throne, only the quiet understanding that everything he did would set a precedent for those who followed. He built the foundation of the new government piece by piece. He chose his cabinet carefully, balancing the fiery mind of Alexander Hamilton with the calm wisdom of Thomas Jefferson. He walked the line between factions, believing that unity was the lifeblood of the Republic. When political divisions began to form, he warned against them. Knowing they would divide the nation, he had fought to unite. When Rebel One fled in Pennsylvania over taxes, he rode out at the head of his troops once again. His purpose was not vengeance, but order. When the rebels surrendered, he showed mercy, pardoning the guilty and proving that the Republic would be ruled by law, not fear. Foreign powers tested his patience. Britain and France dragged the young nation into their quarrels, demanding sides. Washington refused. He declared neutrality, protecting the fragile peace that America needed to grow strong. It was not the easy choice, but it was the right one. After 2 terms, he made another decision that changed history. He stepped down. The world was stunned. Leaders did not give up power voluntarily, yet Washington did. In his farewell address, he warned his countrymen of 3 dangers: division among parties, corruption of morals, and foreign entanglements that could destroy independence. His words were both farewell and prophecy. When he left office, crowds lined the streets. Some wept, some saluted, and all understood they were witnessing something extraordinary. a leader who walked away from power by choice. He returned once more to Mount Vernon. The fields welcomed him back, the river glimmered as it always had, and the quiet life he loved was finally his again. He spent his mornings on horseback, his afternoons writing, and his evenings beside Martha, reflecting on a life that had shaped a nation. In December of 1799, he rode out into a cold winter rain. Within days, he fell ill. Surrounded by family and friends, he faced death as he had faced life, calm, composed, and without fear. His final words were simple: "It is well." When news of his passing spread, the nation mourned as one. Bells tolled from Boston to Charleston. Men who had once followed him into battle wept openly. Even his old enemy, King George III, called him the greatest man of the age. In his death, as in his life, George Washington gave the world a lesson in restraint. True greatness, he proved, does not come from power or wealth, but from character. He showed that leadership is not the act of holding on, but the wisdom to let go. And in walking away from power, he left something far greater than a crown. He left a republic, a nation built not on fear, but on faith, not on dominance, but on dignity.